Good morning. Back again, man, with another episode of Heavy Duty. I am committed to bringing a video to you of some sort every day that I touch this gym. Every day. So we're going to keep going, man. We're going to keep going because this is not something that we're going to do just as a fad, something in passing. I'm getting back to my regular routine now. I have some sort of stability now, man, as far as work is concerned, as far as everything else. And so now it's time to get back on this physical health. It's time to do it, man. And I appreciate y'all for coming back. Let's see what we can get into. Today is leg day. Yeah, we don't skip leg day now. We don't skip it. It's important. Let's get to it. Peace.
So here we have leg extensions. We're starting off at 100 pounds, and then we're going to go to some leg presses, and I'm going to do a variation of the leg press. It's the single leg press, and then I'm going to go into a set of the traditional leg press. You have to bear with me too, man. I'm trying to get this camera in the right place so that you can see me as I'm doing the workouts, look at my form. And then I can look at my form too and assess whether or not I need to do better with it. But like I said, we're hitting leg day, and so that's how we're going to start out. now we're about to get into some traditional leg presses. And look, you'll have to excuse me because I got into this particular exercise and I forgot to take the camera along with me. So I can't chronicle what I'm doing in here, man, if I don't have my camera set up. So I went and got my camera, set it up, and we're going to get a few sets in. We're going to go all the way to 540 today. I'm going to test myself, man, make sure, the hard work I've been doing lately, I'm trying to see if it pays off. So we're going to max out, and hopefully things go well. And one thing too, you'll notice that while I'm doing these leg presses, man, I'm not in a hurry. I don't have anything else that's more pressing at the time, and so I'm focusing on my form. I'm focusing on how I need to be pushing because it's a serious exercise. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys that come away hurt because they weren't paying attention to their form. They weren't taking their time, they weren't breathing correctly. See, all that is something that you have to do. You have to make sure that the breathing is right. Just make sure, man, that you're ready. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Just make sure that you're ready and that you are taking the full estimation of how much weight that you have, and you prepare your body before you go to press. So what we're about to do now, man, we're about to do some barbell leg raises. And that's a funny name, I know, but it's something that I used to do when I was in college. And so it's a combination of stationary movement for the upper body, because now while you're holding the barbell, you can't move your upper body, and so you're forced to stabilize that area while at the same time moving your lower body. And really, it's an exercise I have found that really targets the abdominals. And so, I do it from time to time just to make sure that, I still have the ability to do it, because sometimes, you get so stiff as you get older, you wonder whether or not you can still do the exercises that you used to. But I'm happy to see that, this was not one of those issues for me. So we're going to get into it. We're going to do 4 sets. I think it's either 10 to 12 reps a piece. But we're going to do it, and we're going to see how things turn out.
Of all of the single-parent families in the United States, 80% of those families are led by a single mother. And if you look at the statistics, that group is the poorest demographic in the United States. Single mothers are. So how did we get to this point? where the thought of raising a child by yourself is more appealing than raising a child with a man who loves, cares, and provides and protects for you. I think a lot of it has to do with our view of sex, just to be honest. We live in this hookup culture. Casual sex now is the norm, and I think that's the root of the problem. I think it is. Because here's the thing. If you're trying to build something permanent, then you have to build with the future in mind. So a lot of times when I'm having conversations with my daughter, I'm having conversations with women around me that I love, I'm strict about telling them. And I know this is going to sound old-fashioned, but I'm going to walk you through it to show you how it works. I'm strict about telling them that they need to be abstinent. Be abstinent. A lot of times you hear commercials and they talking about, okay, be safe, use condoms, use birth control. You got some people that talk about the 33 forms of birth control. Some people even talk about, deleting the child. And we're going to use that word because YouTube is very sensitive. Facebook too, about using the other word, the A word. So before you even get to any of that, before you get to having to use condoms, before you get to using birth control, before you have to delete a child, the more reasonable step would be to develop self-control and self-discipline and just be abstinent. Just be abstinent, right? And studies even show that individuals who are abstinent or who have a lesser number of partners, it's easier for them to maintain long-term relationships because they're not traumatized by relationships that they've had in the past. So it's easy for them to come in and assume a role that would be beneficial to themselves and to the individual who they partner with. Now, of course, me, my focus is on marriage because in my opinion, and from what I believe, that's the best way to do things. But now if you think about it, if you're abstinent, then there is no difficulty when it comes to who the father of your child is. If you've only had relations with one person and that's your husband, you don't have to worry about who your child belongs to. Because your child belongs to you and your husband, right? And then if you're abstinent, all of the precautions that everyone else who has to take, who has a casual view of sex, you never have to go through. You have some sisters that talk about the side effects of taking drugs that prevent you from being pregnant, right? So those drugs have a detrimental effect on a woman's body. Sometimes it causes irregular periods. Sometimes the periods are heavier than normal. There's a whole number of things that could happen because of individuals on birth control. You don't have to worry about any of that if you decided to be abstinent. I'm not saying celibate. I'm saying from the time that you realize that you have procreative powers until the time that you get pregnant by your husband, you don't need to have any kind of sexual activity. And I know what you're thinking, Marcus, that's a little extreme. But think about it. Those few years that you decide that you're going to be abstinent can help guarantee that your future will be on course for the way you want it to be. Just think about that. Because if you're deliberate enough to have that kind of self-control and self-discipline, just think about how that's going to benefit you in the rest of life. See, the flashy things, the things that don't last, the things that are here today and gone tomorrow, none of that stuff will excite you. None of it will. Because now you're gearing your mind toward the long term. And I know it's a lot of people that saying, well, that's unrealistic, Marcus. You saying that, but that's not how things work today. It should be how things work. Because I remember when I was growing up, the phrase was to be abstinent, to remain a virgin until you marry. That has changed. In the almost 40 years that I've been alive, I'm 39, it has changed from being abstinent to being safe. What's more safe than being abstinent? Because I'll tell you something, and this will be the last thought, because I don't want to lecture you now. You know how I can go off on a tangent. But you just think about it. A person is advocating being safe to you, right? But there's no condom for the mental effects of what you do. There's no birth control that keeps you from feeling the vulnerability and the worthlessness that comes after having sex with a person that you know doesn't care about you. There's no birth control, there's no condoms, there's no protection from that kind of mental trauma. And until they come up with something for that, you're going to have to deal with it. That's going to have to be your life to carry. So you don't even have to deal with any of that. You don't. Growing up as a young man, my mother would tell us that. She'd tell us about some of the experiences that she had, and she was saying that it would be best to abstain until you're married. It'd be best till you abstain. Now, it's going to be 5,000, 6,000 people in the comments talking about, well, what happens if you marry him and you ain't sexually satisfied? What happens if you wait to marry this guy and he can't perform? Listen. I'm talking about your future. I'm talking about your future. So if you can come up with something that you would trade for a better and a brighter future, then I'll let you have it. Those are my thoughts, though. As I mentioned, man, heavy duty workouts, heavy duty conversation. We got them for you. So, man, let me go ahead. I'm sitting here sweating in my car. Just finished up the gym, man. Another wonderful day. We're going to get in here, man, and we're going to try to get something done this particular day. Got a couple things that planned I need to work on now, and we're going to get that done, man. You know we love you. Peace.